Ever wonder how some businesses turn every customer into a raving fan? Or why certain brands just seem to resonate on a different level? The secret? Empathy. Hi, I'm here to share how genuine empathy and listening were some game changers for my junk removal business, catapulting us from just another service to a community favorite. Let's dive in. When I first started my business, I didn't know anything really, other than what I'd seen on YouTube. I used to watch a YouTube channel called Sonoma Strong Hauling. Shout out to them. I learned a lot of my initial things from them, but I also had to figure some things out. And in the beginning, I would try to guess, right, or make my own assumptions about what customers wanted. And at a certain point, I realized, why guess? They're telling me. I just need to listen. And that's the first critical skill that I had to learn, was listen to what they needed, right? And when I say that, I don't mean every single customer. However, that's probably the crucial first step, is identifying your customer. And so I would listen. Some customers wanted the service free. That's not going to work, right? We're here for profit. You're probably starting your business, or you're in a business that generates profit, right? You want to generate profit. That's why you got into this. You're not a charity. And if you're a charity, good for you too. But I'm speaking here to for-profit business owners. And so those people automatically eliminated. We don't work for free. Next, customers wanted it done cheap, right? We'd get customers who would be like, oh, well, you need to be cheaper than the U-Haul. Nope, that doesn't work either, right? Why would we do it cheaper than they could do it themselves? That doesn't make sense either. Whole point of a business is you're providing convenience, right? And so that's the next thing we kind of discovered, is we wanted the customers who needed it done, who couldn't lift the stuff themselves, or who were too busy to do this, right? They valued their time. They valued our expertise, in this case, being able to lift heavy items, disassembling items. They valued our expertise, and so the first skill was really listening. And that's not just for finding an ideal customer, but also over time you build kind of a customer profile. What we've really focused on is situations or customers where there could be a large project. For example, we just finished a week-long house clean out, right? The family did not want to deal with this. They did as much as they could do, and we did the rest. We were there for 5 days, 10 hours a day, and we got it done for them. And they were so happy. And that's exactly who we look to work with. Somebody who values us, somebody who appreciates us. I listened to that customer. What really drives it home, and this is going to feel so good if you've ever experienced this, or you'll experience this in the future, is I spoke with this customer. I listened to him. I heard all his concerns, everything that he needed done, and we discussed the price, and I was told we were not the cheapest, but he would get back to me. And so I gave him the space. I think it was 2 business days that I didn't hear back. And then I get the phone call, and he says, you have the green light to go. And that just feels really good, building a brand where you're not the cheapest, but the customer values what you bring to the table, right? And what we really brought to the table there is, in our scenario, we made partnerships with an estate sale company. They went through the house and they sold everything that was worth selling. We came through, we did the rest. And, we've identified that customer need, that perfect customer, by listening to them. Now, listening on its own is a good starting point, but it's not enough. You do need, in my opinion, I go above and just beyond listening. It's also about empathy, right? You need to put yourself in the customer's shoes. You need to understand their situation. For me, for example, a couple of years ago, I had my home flood, and from a neighbor above me. Basically, their toilet was leaking, and it was flooding my bathroom. And what struck me, I ultimately still went with this company, but water restoration company, but what really struck me was the lack of empathy. Throughout the process of working with them, it was about a 2-month project. I was very frustrated with them because there was zero empathy. I had to live in a hotel for a while, which that sounds nice, but over a long period of time, it's not. Like, hotel's not a home, and I felt like I lost my home for a little while. That might sound dramatic, but again, there was no empathy from this company. And so I worked with them that one time, but I would never recommend anybody to that particular location anyway, because I felt like they didn't care. And so with us, with my company, my junk removal company, one of our core principles is empathy. We get a lot of people who are going through difficult situations in their life. It could be divorce, it could be having to downsize because they can no longer afford their home, it could be because they had a death in the family. We're empathetic to all these situations because we understand it's really difficult, and having strangers go into your home and clean out 20, 30, 40 years of your stuff or a family member's stuff, that's a difficult decision to make. That's vulnerability right there. They're being vulnerable with us, and I think it's really important to show people that you care, you respect them. With that home clean out that we just did, they asked us to keep an eye out for certain items. That's something that I proactively offered because you never know. And they asked us if we could keep an eye out for photo albums. We found 2 boxes of photo albums. We set them aside. Other people may just have gone through and just thrown everything away. We kept an eye out the whole project for items that we think that they would have wanted to keep. Other things we do is again, proactively reaching out, making sure that we're doing everything to the best of our ability and with respect to the family. We're inside a family member's house, and we appreciate the trust that they place in us, and the least we can do is again, it's a really difficult situation. They're being vulnerable, and we want to do the best we can. I would say there are multiple junk removal companies, some of them national, and so you have to find a way to set yourself apart from the competition. I'm sure some of you listening now, that you may be plumbers, you may be electricians, you may be HVAC business owners. There's plenty of people doing what you're already doing, right? At least from a service-based perspective, if you look at just the service itself. And so you ask yourself, how can you set yourself apart? And I think, in my opinion, this is what we did. We were setting ourselves apart on empathy. It's very easy to, especially when you got a lot of work, it's very easy to just sink your head down into the sand and just you're just working, right? And you forget about the customer. I would say a strategy that comes to mind for me right away that kind of stood out to me is I've heard of this air conditioning company. When any HVAC people know that generally systems tend to fail at the worst time. So I know a lot of people who their air conditioning has failed when it's 90, 100 degrees Fahrenheit outside, which is like 30, 40 degrees Celsius. That's hot. And most companies, from what I've heard, again, it's the hottest time, so there's a backlog. You have to wait maybe a week or two to get a replacement in, a new system in. And I've only heard of one company, and I think this is a fantastic idea, and it demonstrates the empathy. They come in and they put in window units in all the bedrooms, and I think also the congregating areas, maybe the living room, dining room, and they put those in as a temporary solution so that people at least can get cool air until the replacement system comes in. And I think that's a fantastic way of doing it. They do charge for that. I think it's built into their pricing, but that shows nobody else is doing that. And if you guys are HVAC owner, there's an idea for you right there. It shows like every other company is just kind of like tough luck. Be without AC for a week. And they may not say tough luck, they may not say we don't care, but that's kind of what their actions say. Like why is nobody else offering this? Why is nobody else putting in the window units? And just buy a couple and have them in your warehouse, and then you're not giving them to the owner. Once you install the new unit, you take those out and put them back in your warehouse and just continuously do that. I think that would be an idea, right? And you can apply that to any business. There's so much opportunity for empathy, and I think that's how you win people over, and that's how you win the good customers over. If you're fighting on price and speed, I've mentioned this in previous videos, you're fighting a losing battle. You're going to lose eventually. Somebody's going to be cheaper than you, and somebody's going to have a slot available in their schedule when you don't. I think fighting on empathy, that's worked very well for me, and I think that could very well work for others as well. And that kind of ties into my next point, which is cultivating growth through empathy. What stronger way to, let's go back to the air conditioning example. These people, like this family, will post on social media. They'll tell their neighbors, "Oh my God, my AC, they couldn't get a unit in for a week, but they came and they put in window units for us. They spent an hour and a half. I don't know how long it takes to put in a window unit, but let's just say an hour and a half. They spent an hour and a half putting in 4 window units for us to keep us cool until we get the new unit in. Thank you so much," whatever their air conditioning company. And people are going to see that and think, holy cow, this company's amazing. This company cares. And I think that's just imagine that as a 5-star Google review on your profile. These people cared about me. They went above and beyond. They came up with a solution to get us through until they could actually really fully help us. Isn't that amazing? Wouldn't you want like something like that? Compared to, oh, he was the cheapest. Oh, this guy was fast. Blah, blah, blah. To me, I don't know about you guys, but I already forgot that it's not memorable. But putting the window unit thing in, that's much more memorable to me. And people are going to want to support a business like that. Because I think it almost, at a certain level, it becomes like, when you think of a business, it's a stereotypical business. It's kind of soulless. Like it's like this machinery, right? It's got no emotions. But when you do this, doing the window unit thing, whatever, that shows a lot of feeling. It no longer feels like a machine. And like I said, I think that's something that people will rally behind. And that ties into my next point, that when you're thinking of a business long term on growth, I feel like, in my opinion, this empathy strategy, it's something that just keeps building up more and more momentum. It's like rolling a snowball. Before you know it, you got a giant freaking snowman sized ball, boulder, whatever you want to call it. I feel like with the price and quickness, like I said, that you can't do that long term. Being the cheapest, that's only going to work for so long. That's only a strategy that big companies with investors and shareholders and blah 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 can do. Same with speed. How are you going to keep a schedule always open? Empathy, for me, I think that's really the long term strategy, and I think it's something that it's just a win-win too. It builds up your company culture. It attracts the right people to come work for you. When I tell my employees about this, about how empathy is a core value, and I see them to begin to implement that empathy, it brings smiles on their faces. Like when they found those pictures, they're like, "Yes, we found pictures," and they had smiles on their faces when they set it aside, because we were starting to get worried. We were probably 2-3 days into the project, and I was like, "Shoot, we're not gonna find anything," and then we found them, and they were nice pictures. It felt good. We weren't just cleaning the house out. We found family pictures that they probably didn't even know were there, honestly. And I think that just elevates the experience for everybody. Elevates the experience for the customer, elevates the experience for the employees. It's nice to know you work for a company that cares. That's what I think. And so I kind of want to wrap everything up here in that you want to stand out, right? You want to show that you're not like everybody else, right? You're actually very different. Like I said, this one company, and it makes you ask, it kind of makes the other guys look bad now. It kind of like, oh, why is this other person not offering it? Do they not care about me? It just becomes, it's so different. Why would you go with the other guys? Oh, they're $500 cheaper, but now I gotta sit for a week with no AC. What? That just seems like a slap in the face. And I don't know, I think I wouldn't even think about the $500. I'd be like, I don't want to give my money to a company that doesn't care about me. Like, these guys care about me. They want me to stay cool. I think that's the way to go, is show the empathy, listen to your customers. That's the other big one that I made at the beginning of this video. Listen to them. That's how you're going to know what they need. Stop trying to guess what they want. They're telling you. Just listen. I had another, just to wrap up, I had this lady last year. She talked to me for 40 minutes on the phone, the first call she made. And at the end, she was like, I am so sorry. I've been talking to you for 40 minutes. It was a very complicated situation. I won't get into it. But she's like, I'm hiring you. I was going to call a couple other people, but you've listened to me. You care. And we went there, and that was another house where we actually found family albums, and a customer ended up crying because we found some things that she had no idea existed. She thought they were gone. Again, it felt good. Like, we had smiles on our faces. We found, I think, like 9 or 12 photo albums. It's next level. That's how I think, that's what's working for me. That's what's setting me apart. I just think we don't really, nobody else does what we do, literally. And I hear this all the time from our customers. Like, you're the only ones who care. You're the only ones who listen. Everybody else is just trying to get through the house, clear it out as quickly as possible, and go to the next one. That's my recommendation. Empathy, listening to the customer. Thank you for listening to me today. I hope I've brought value to you. And if you want to learn anything else, I have other videos on the channel, of course. I would much appreciate any insights. Post down below. I read every comment. Any questions, I'm here to help. My goal here is to, I've been doing this for 3 years now. I've learned a couple things along the way, and any way I can help, I would love to. But with that said, thank you again. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video.